I think, obviously, getting into a different offensive system, I've always been fascinated by the system, always been fascinated by really the origination of it. Coach Height putting his own twist on it, and obviously the offensive success has been really public. An opportunity to learn and grow in that capacity, an opportunity to be a coordinator. Talking to Coach Height, I was really fascinated by the opportunity. One, to be a part of continuing to build this program and taking it to new heights, continuing to build this offense and taking it to new heights, and ironically enough, spent a week here prior to at the bowl game here, and got a chance to talk to Height and really fell in love with his vision and what the program is, where it's going, and his plan to take it there. So I'd say all those reasons, starting with the ability to grow in a coordinator role.
As co-offensive coordinator, how would you describe what your job responsibilities will include? Will that also include play calling?
Yeah, I think it's all growing a little bit at a time. When I took the job, the conversation was more about come help us grow. A lot of things we did up there. He was interested in a lot of things. Obviously, I was interested here, but help us grow. We didn't talk a whole lot about this is exactly what your job is, what your role is. Obviously, for me coming in, I've had to learn the system to figure out how we can help it grow. It's not broken, but I think the most fascinating thing about Coach Hype and his approach is you got to continue to get better and evolve and get better and evolve. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, people figure it out, and you got to continue to evolve. That's what's great about offensive football is a lot of time you can have the pen last, and so in terms of coming in and helping evolve, that was the conversation. In terms of play calling, I think it's been such a group effort here to get to the final plan. It's been a collaborative effort the last 2 years. I think it'll evolve, and my readiness to learn the system and help the system grow, I think that'll dictate who calls the plays on Saturdays. That conversation hasn't happened yet, and I'm not pushing the conversation, and Hype's not pushing the conversation. I think it's been such a group effort so far, with the first step being learn the system, figure out where the holes are, try to help plug the holes, and get into spring ball and evolve within the system. Like I said, it really is a group effort. I mean, we all come up with a plan for talking the first week and a half of spring ball. We put the plan together, we brainstorm, complete group effort. Obviously, Coach Hype is super heavily involved there. But at the end of the day, we're gonna kind of take it as a group through spring, figure out where we're at, and reevaluate it in May.
What did you know about UCF before you came here? How much did you watch UCF the past few seasons?
Yeah, to be honest with you, studied a lot of it in the off season, conceptually. I think as a football coach, you take the off seasons to obviously try to get better, try to evolve. You look at the top 5-10 offenses in the country, and UCF is there. Mizzou was there prior to. I've studied it over the last 5-6 years in terms of what can fit the system that I came from, what conceptually fits. So I've studied it, can honestly say I've watched every game up until this year, studied it, broke it down, tried to see what concepts could possibly fit us. So up until this year, I think just like every other college football coach in the country, I watched some of the Friday night games. You're sitting there in the hotel and kind of get your final preparation. I felt like UCF was on a lot, so I had a chance to watch them. I've had a long-standing relationship with Glenn Ellerby, and so obviously, as close as we are, we spent a year together and developed a really close bond and friendship. And so when you have friends throughout the country, you tend to watch those games a little bit more with a different viewpoint, probably less as a fan and more cheering for the O-line. But so I've seen a lot of UCF, studied a lot of UCF, and then obviously for this past year's games, the first thing I did when I got here was sat down, started going through it from a personnel standpoint and then from a scheme standpoint. So really familiar with the system, not as familiar obviously with the personnel, and that's what the last couple of 2 months, 7 weeks have been, is figuring out the personnel, figuring out the scheme, and like I had said, trying to see where I can help continue to improve it. And that's the most fascinating thing about Coach Hype is you can sit there and say, well, we're a top 5, top 10 offense. He flips it and says, we weren't good in third down, we weren't good in the red zone. How do we fix that to take the next step?
Coach, maybe one of the discussions perhaps you had with Coach Heupel was like maybe about getting more production out of the tight end. I know you've had a lot of success coaching that position. I know you had an All-American last year at Iowa State. I know Ike in Missouri had a really good tight end play. Is that something maybe you guys have talked about and trying to improve that position going forward here at UCF?
Yeah, I think absolutely. That position is such a developmental position. You know, like you look at what he's had. He's taken very similar guys, going back to Oklahoma, taken very similar guys that I've taken in terms of tall, long, rangy receiver type bodies that young guys that are tough and gritty that can help you in the pass game, develop into run blockers. That was certainly a conversation piece. You know, specifically that we need to develop that position as a whole. I don't know if catches necessarily are the measuring stick for tight ends. They are in the media, they are for All-American awards and all those things. I think anytime you have a tight end in any offense or multiple tight ends, it gives you the ability to be more multiple. I think any offense, this day and age, the more multiple you can be, and you can look at the college ranks, the NFL, the teams that are playing at the highest level are able to be multiple. I think when you're limited at the tight end spot, whether it's the personnel itself or the amount of guys you have and their skill sets, it really limits you offensively. And that may be what you're referring to. I think that position is so unique. That's why last year there was 14 tight ends that got drafted. It's become a commodity position in terms of really big athletic guys that can be mismatches in the pass game and can help you run the ball. The premium so much right now is on defensive ends and edge rushers, and you need guys that can block those guys. So I think in both aspects, to answer your question, that was a conversation. It continues to be a daily conversation. We've got to recruit better there. We've got to develop better there. And it's not a knock on anything that's happened here. Kind of the way the nature of the position here, guy medicals, guy transfers, you end up really thin. That's been a huge priority for me. As a matter of fact, it's literally the first thing I do every morning is take 20 minutes to make sure I'm recruiting in the right manner there to be able to help us. We started that by signing a junior college guy that hopefully can give us some immediate depth. The next step is taking high school kids that we can truly develop. Because you're right, I think the difference from year 1 to year 2 here in terms of how the offense functioned, there was no drop off in terms of production, but how it functioned was a high-level tight end that was a really good pass catcher here. You look at Hype at Mizzou, high-end tight ends that are pass catchers. Look at Oklahoma, high-end tight ends that are pass catchers. That's been a consistent quarterback play, the tight end play is really, really critical. So I put a lot of time into it, taken a lot of pride into growing as a developer in that position. I feel like I've still got room to grow, obviously, but recruiting is where that starts. I think recruiting is where everything starts, but at that position here today, that's a huge priority.
Let's do one more here and then we'll get Joey.
Alex, you come from a conference that's known for putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards, big time offenses. What was it that when you look at UCF that maybe kind of stood out differently than what you've seen in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think probably the tempo at which you play, the way it's pieced together. I think when you combine tempo, offense, and speed together, it's really a lethal combination. That's the fastest and probably best approach to attack a defense. Again, multiplicity within that is what can be the difference. But I would say that in terms of the offense, obviously the success here, the last decade is what you sell in recruiting, and I think it's what you sell to coaches that want to come. You want to be a part of something that's really high end and a part of something that's elite. You want to continue to take it and make it better. But that would be it, and the weather.
One more here.
Thanks, Alex, in the back here. Just how valuable is this spring, particularly for you and the new coaches, in getting to know the players, the personnel, and just kind of getting yourself infused in the system?
Yeah, I think it's huge. This is the first time in my career that I've come into a situation where I wasn't part of a new staff. Everywhere I've been after being a graduate assistant as a full-time coach has been part of a new staff. So you all are kind of learning it together. I think this has been a really unique learning experience for me to get to know the players, get to know the staff. I've leaned a lot on Coach Tuck's in the back, Joey's is here. I mean, I probably wear those guys out, Tuck probably wear you out daily in terms of questions. From the offense to the players themselves, honestly, you spend a lot of time figuring out how do you do things here. From, I mean, literally from where do you drop your recruiting letters to where do you park to where do you grab a sandwich at lunch. I think instead of everybody figuring it out together, you're kind of on your own weaving through it. So I think leaned a lot on the assistants, leaned a lot on the support staff on just what is the system, because the system that's in place is obviously really, really good. And like I said earlier, offensively, I think what makes Coach Hype so unique is he wants to pick your brain on what worked there, what didn't work there, and his whole deal is continuing to grow and evolve and continuing to get just a little bit better every day. So for me, I think a lot of it is learning personnel and learning what are our guys good at. You can see a bunch on film, but we've got a ton of young guys in this program that haven't touched the field yet that obviously the staff knows way more about than you do. We've watched a lot of high school film to try to go back and see what guys potentially will end up being. But a ton of the last 7 weeks and then the next 3 months are going to be spent combining learning the system, trying to help the system grow, and then learning the personnel. But I think every day is a learning experience. There's something new that comes up every day. Finally not using my GPS to drive home. I can figure that out now on my own. Traffic patterns, Coach Tuck has helped with traffic patterns, has helped with where to eat. But every day is new and a learning experience. Like I said, it's been unique for me because it's been different when you're the only one that's new, trying to figure out exactly what the daily process is. So it's been unique and I've really, really enjoyed it.